Yo, was popping, man. Sorry, but not sorry. Boxing talk, man. Here talking the landscape of the 135 division, the lightweight division today, man. Definitely gonna start off recapping some of these fights from last night first. Um, First, starting off with the Scott Nicholson versus Tierra Brown fight, a controversial fight for some people on the Nicholson side, but wasn't too much controversial to me, in my personal opinion. For real, honestly, you feel me? But let me get started. Let me send a couple of invites out real quick, and make sure you like and comment on this video as well, y'all, for sure. These motherfuckers daggone mute. See something real quick before we get started. Alright, just on a cook up, man. Before we get on the cook up first, you know what I'm saying? I know some people live right now on some other channels and stuff, but we still gonna cook up though, because we gonna get this content out for sure. But let's get it started, man. Started from last night, man, from yesterday. Thomas Hill was good, bro. Yeah. So yesterday, George Cambosos, you know what I'm saying? He he had a fight with Jay Wiley last night, but I want to get into the co-main fight, man. Scott Nicholson versus Tierra Brown, man. Um, Good fight. It was a good scrap. I ain't gonna lie. Definitely, definitely different. You know what I'm saying for Scott Nicholson because she's usually known for fighting on the outside for real, and she fought no a rugged fight with Tierra Brown. Tierra Brown made it a rugged fight with her fighting on the inside the whole night, and Tierra Brown was definitely hitting her with some great shots on the inside. Yeah, yeah, man, she would have easily got outboxed, man. If that if Scott Nicholson fought on the outside more, man, but Scott Nicholson she fought more so on the inside, man. It was different, man. Salute to Mrs. Cam J. What's up, my baby? Yeah, my boy said she was solid. Her foot was movement was on point. Yeah, man. Scott Nicholson, man. I think that fight, she needed to definitely rematch that fight for sure, man. They gave Tierra Brown the nod last night, giving her a split decision win. The scorecards was crazy though. That 97-93 judge, I was like, whoa, you thought that fight was that wide slide for that go Tierra Brown? Like it was a close fight. That fight, honestly, like I mean, I watched Eddie Hearn after the fight where he said the fight could have went 7-5 either way, which is I honestly felt the same way. The fight could have went 7-5 either way, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But hey, Scott Nicholson got to get that fight back, man. Run that fight back. She, Eddie Hearn said he didn't have a rematch clause on that fight, man, which is kind of weird. Why would you have her be a champion and you don't have a rematch clause for that fight? That was kind of weird, hearing Eddie Hearn say that. But then Eddie Hearn also said maybe Sky may take two fights after this fight and then decide to come back to fight Tierra Brown, which was kind of weird to me and off to me as well. Like you know what I'm saying? Honestly, that fight, that type of fight, Eddie need to be pushing to run that fight immediately back for sure. And he know he can make that fight happen, you know what I'm saying? I know he got the connections with the WBC to make that fight happen and run that back for sure, man. But I think Scott Nicholson. I think if they fight, they do have a rematch in that fight with with her and Tierra Brown. I think no, she'll beat Tierra Brown. You know what I mean, if they do happen a rematch, because she won't make the same mistake of continuing to fight a rugged fight on the inside with her throughout the whole night. Because that definitely benefited Tierra Brown for real, honestly. You know what I'm saying? And Eddie Hearn even mentioned that in his post fight interview. My boy Thomas Hill, he said she definitely got to get that back, but I think next time it would be a cleaner victory for Tierra Brown. Her pilots with her ones. Yeah, man. Tierra Brown, she fought a good fight for real, man. Shit, and I like Tierra Brown's corner. How how they was instructing her in the corner. They definitely gave her some proper instructions in the corner, and they was getting her ass over there. Keeping her. Keeping her focused up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like keeping her locked in. You know what I mean? So and definitely gave her the right instructions as far as details going into the fight for us, what to do in the fight. And Tia Brown was sharp, man, fighting on it. She outboxed, Nicholson. She was boxing well on the outside with Nicholson too when they had, sequences on the outside as well last night, man. So like great fight for Tia Brown. You know what I'm saying? Nicholson, she could, I think she with her height and her range, her reach, she could probably win that rematch if she fight more on the outside with Tierra Brown, probably. But I can see Tierra Brown probably doing the same thing too, in the same sense, fighting on the outside, on the outside looking clean, and especially fighting on the inside too, making it a rugged fight for Nicholson, because Nicholson, she could not fight on the inside at all. I mean, for sure. He said, I thought it was set it apart. Yeah, fight. Yeah, fights. Facts, bro. Facts. Scott didn't fight her a fight, man. Tierra Brown, definitely a great game plan, man. Salute to Tierra Brown for capturing that title last night. And salute to her team, man, for the game plan and the hard work they put in last night, man. They put in some hard work last night for sure, man. And let's go to the next fight, man. The main event for that card, George Kambosos Jr. versus Jake Wiley. In my predictions video with my boy Doobie's Ring. Shout out to my boy Doobie's Ring, man. Um, we both predicted George Kambosos to win by unanimous decision, which he did that with Jake Wiley. George Kambosos, he was faster than Jake Wiley, like, you know what I'm saying, which is kind of different because, in recent fights that you've seen with George Kambosos, he looks slower than the guys he's fought recently, fighting um um Devin Haney and Maxie Hughes and um, Lomachenko. Like those three guys, man, they always all faster than George Kambosos in those fights. And Jake Wiley, he put up a competitive fight. I ain't gonna lie, towards the second half of the fight for real. George Kambosos was fighting well for us, counter, countering Jay Wiley, pretty well every time he was coming in. Great jab from George Kambosos as well. Um, this was just a easy fight for George Kambosos. It ain't really too much to speak about it too much. Um, and of course, he won by the unanimous decision. Um, well, Jay Wiley was kind of fighting a little dirty a little bit. You know what I'm saying, with the hit with the headbutts and stuff a little bit, and it was kind of different fight, man. It was a rugged fight, man. It was a good little scrap fight to watch. You know what I'm saying? Yesterday morning for real, but easy to know. We know George Kambosos, he won. George Kambosos, what's up next for George Kambosos? Richardson Hitchens. I'm hearing that the targeted date is June 21st, which is a bad date for them because that's the same day that Tank and Roach is going to be fighting on a rematch in Vegas. So Richardson Hitchens versus George Kambosos Jr. is the next fight for George Kambosos. That's on the horizon. They fighting for Richardson Hitchens, IBF 140-pound title, and definitely looking forward to see that fight for sure, man. I think Richardson will win that. Just an early prediction. You know what I'm saying? I think that's an easy fight for Richardson. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think George Kambosos is that talented. In my opinion, that's just my personal opinion. You know what I mean? But George Kambosos definitely get all credit. He fought a good fight against Jay Wiley. He won that fight easy, and they end up Eddie Hearn. He ends up offering Jake Wiley a matchroom boxing contract after the fight. So Jake Wiley, man, congrats to him for getting a matchroom boxing contract after fighting George Kambosos. And I was listening to George Kambosos his post fight interview where he said he wants to try to help Jake Wiley and groom him and everything. And Jake Wiley's 24 years old, so he's a younger fighter. So definitely want to try to help him in his career and try to help promote him a little bit and everything. So good shit from George Campos as far as that pertaining. But George Cambosa's the ticket sales was kind of bad. They had a 20,000 seated venue, and heard they only sold about 1,200 tickets. Man, which is kind of different for George Cambosa's man a little bit, man, because usually George Cambosa's usually sell out there in Australia. You know what I mean? But I heard it was a bad gate for as this event, and I think they ended up switching to a smaller venue. It looked like because the venue looked smaller and it was kind of quiet in the venue a little bit. Like wasn't too much action up there. But salute to George Cambosis and Tierra Brown for on the victories on that card, man. And let's get to the next card, man, that I want to talk about. This is the card that I definitely covered heavy last night. I watched a little bit at Pro Box TV. They had a card last night. I watched a few of the early fights from that card. I did get to catch Kelvin Davis fight. Then I watched the main event fight on Pro Box TV last night. But I mainly watched the PBC card on Palm Video last night. Sebastian Fundora versus Cordell Booker. That was the main card that we definitely predicted on Friday night. And we're gonna get into it, man. Let's talk about this first fight. The first fight, controversial, man. Controversial for the first fight. I gotta say for sure. Um, First fight, man. I'm sorry about this first, but I ain't gonna lie, man, because there's a lot of controversy about it. Um, Elijah Garcia versus Terrell Gausha last night, man. First fight. And bro, man, Terrell Gausha won this fight fair and square to me last night, man. Gotta say that, man. Salute to Terrell Gausha for the performance he put on last night, man. He was just pretty much doing, sticking to his similar 1-2, beating him with the right. And and he dropped him in the first round. He dropped him badly in the first round for real. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Garcia got up, you know what I'm saying? He fought the rest of the fight through. But Elijah Garcia, um he didn't it's like he ain't putting it all the way together in these fights, man. Like you know what I'm saying, when he in the last couple of fights that he's had. Of course, he lost to Kyron Davis last year in June 2024, and a guy that's a little bit more slicker, a little bit slicker on their feet, and got some power. Um, you know, basically, Elijah Garcia just keep his head on the line, man, out there when you watching him fight in these last two fights, man. So where Kyron Davis and Terrell Gausha, they was able to take full advantage of that, and in that fight, Terrell Gausha won a lot of those rounds in the early rounds. Of course, he had a 10-8 round in that first round, and going into the middle of the fight, even in the later rounds, like it was a clear robbery in this fight. And if you want to use robbery, I don't like to use robbery in a lot of fights, and I know a lot of boxing fans like to use robbery very loosely. But I'm not going to be the person to use robbery loosely in a lot of fights, as far as in particular situations. But this fight was definitely a robbery. Terrell Gausha outboxed Elijah Garcia, plain and simple for real, and they should have gave the nod to Terrell Gausha, but not so fast. You got to understand the business of boxing of certain terms. Elijah Garcia, 1601, younger fighter, has a lot of Spanish fans. PBC's grooming him as one of those upcoming stars at that 160 pound division, and they like, hey, we gonna give him this nod, you know what I mean? So he can move on, and we're trying to give him some bigger fights down the line. And Terrell Gausha, older fighter, about 38 years old, you know what I'm saying? Put up a good fight. He's been on PBC, loyal to PBC, gave you a good amount of money for this fight. Hey, we got to get Elijah Garcia this win, you know what I mean? Because, this the guy that we grooming up to be that star at 160. It sucks. And I gotta say that it sucks. I hate it, and I know some fans will be like, "Yeah, it's definitely some bullshit for us boxing pertaining to," but it's part of boxing, man, and I hate it. It shouldn't be a part of boxing. Let me say this, and don't get it twisted. PBC is not the only company that does this. All of the promotional company does it. I done seen in them multiple fights and all of these promotional company fights where they have a younger fighter beat a older fighter. The older fighter probably won the fight, but they give the nod to the younger fighter because they're trying to groom him as the upcoming star in their company. I mean, um, sucks. It's a thing of boxing that I hate, but it is what it is, man. And I definitely felt that Terrell Gausha definitely won that fight fair and square, clean to me. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Garcia should have lost last night, honestly, but Elijah Garcia moves on to 17-1, and we'll see what's up next for Elijah Garcia, man. I can kind of look at what could be possibly next for Elijah Garcia, where he's at in that 160-pound division, I believe. So what could be? Is he 154? My bad. Chiron Day. Oh yeah, he is 160. Okay, so he is 160. My bad. 160. He's ranked. Elijah Garcia is ranked number 15 in the WBA at 160 right now, for that sanctioned body, and that's the only sanctioned body that he's ranked in. So right now, you can tell that they're pretty much PBC's grooming him, slowly for surely, you know, in the 160 division. And I mean, what's some possible fights that's that you see for Elijah Garcia? I mean, well, you got a lot of these guys a lot of guys names that's not familiar in the 160 division. The 160 division is really lackluster. I gotta say that. You know what I mean? Um, maybe with him at 160, maybe try to fight Shane Mosley Jr. Maybe um, you Lee Hernandez. Maybe try to fight him possibly. Or maybe a fight with Troy Isley or Leon Smith possibly. It's some decent names at 160. It's some decent names. Denzel Bentley, that's a name he could possibly try. You know what I mean? Just looking over. I know he's not gonna. I know Chris Eubank. That's not happening. We know that's not happening. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's a contender for Eris Landy Lara's title, and Eris Landy Lara. He's at PBC. So, but that's not happening with him being at 15. PBC. What we seen from Elijah Garcia in these last two fights, him losing to Kyron Davis and him winning in a controversy split decision last night versus Terrell Gausha, he got a lot of grooming to do still. A lot of grooming. You know what I mean? But he moves on to 17-1. And salute to Terrell Gausha for put up a good fight, man. Hopefully to see him some more. Because he's still fighting at a high level in boxing for sure, man. And let's get to the next fight, man. Jesus Ramos Jr. last night, man, versus Guido Schramm, man. This man Jesus Ramos went crazy last night, bro. Like that man went crazy last night, dog. Like scored what round was that knockout, bro? He went crazy. He fought a good ass fight, man. Looked sharp, even though Guido Schramm, the talent ain't there. No, ain't there, obviously. You know what I'm saying? This was a replacement fight, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was all for Jesus Ramos just to look sharp and look good last night. And he scored a 7 round knockout last night. Crazy knockout too, bro. Like I thought, and it was crazy because I'm watching the fight, and you know me, I be trying to get certain highlight clips. If you checking out my socials, man, follow CamJNetwork on our socials, by the way. Yeah, I mean, but I'm watching the fight, and I'm trying to catch a little because I thought that Jesus Ramos was going to stop him like in the fourth round, like third or fourth round. Honestly, it was a couple. He did knock him down early in the fight too. He knocked him down like first or second round, I believe. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking he's just gonna stop him at least like fourth, fifth, sixth round. But he ended up stopping him in the seventh. But that man Shroud, I gotta salute to him. That motherfucker, he was in there banging. He was banging with Jesus Ramos, man. Like he was in there banging. He was taking hella punishment. But he was in there banging with Jesus Ramos, man. Like, and it was a good ass fight to watch. It was a good ass scrap, like a real good ass fight to watch last night. I enjoyed watching that fight. Like, and I salute the Guido Shrimp for him, getting in there, man, and taking that punishment for Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos looked it clean, man. He had a lot of power behind the shots. Even the shots that, you know, was soft touch shots was power that, it looked powerful. You know what I mean? Um, Definitely looked sharp on defense last night for sure as well. Like he was 100% locked in, man. And he just looked very sharp, man. Definitely pitched the shutout up until, the knockout. Definitely excited to see what Jesus Ramos do in that 154 division, man. He's been looking good, man. Of course, he's coming off, last year knocking out Jason Rosario, and then of course, last year he knocked out Johan Gonzalez, and Johan Gonzalez he just beat Jared Hurd this past week. You know what I mean? So um definitely, man, interested to see what Jesus Ramos, man, in the 154. That's a hot division right now, man. Maybe Sebastian Fundora, maybe he want to, you know, go ahead and give him a shot at the WBC and the WBO titles, maybe. Um, who else? Uh, you got guys like Virgil Ortiz out there. Let's look at the landscape real quick. Some fights for him. So Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos, he's mainly in the WBC. So, of course, there's some good fights, man. Charles Conwell, um, Israel Madrimov, that I mean, I don't know if they have made. I don't think that'll happen with both promotional companies and Madrimov may trying to look for something different. Especially you got the ties to Turkey too a little bit, along with Eddie Hearn. So I don't know how that would happen. But Charles Conwell, that's a fight that Eddie Hearn would definitely maybe try to give to Charles Conwell. That'd be a good ass fight for Jesus Ramos. Um, Kalen Wash, that'd be a decent fight. I think I think Jesus Ramos would beat him though for sure. Um, it's crazy. Cordell Booker loses last night. They ain't feeding him after that. Um, Jesus Ramos versus Serhii Boychuk. That'd be a banger. Woo! I love that fight. Jesus Ramos versus Serhii Boychuk. That fight can be made too. That'll be an easy fight to make because Boychuk, he's kind of freelancing a little bit between the zone and PBC a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he'll come over to PBC to fight Jesus Ramos. That'll be a good fight. especially to put him in position. But like I said, at the end of the day, if it comes into, you know, Sebastian Fundora deciding to, pick Jesus Ramos because both of them guys are on PBC, it'll be an easy fight to make. I would love to see that fight for sure. And I think Jesus Ramos gonna make it competitive. You know what I'm saying? They both got a common opponent in Erickson Lubin. I mean, of course, a lot of people felt Lubin lost to Jesus Ramos. And of course, Sebastian Fundora, you know what I'm saying, he beat Lubin. You know what I mean? So um, definitely interesting to see what's next for Jesus Ramos, man. But salute to him, man, on the 7 round knockout last night. He looked sharp. He looked amazing last night for sure, man. And get to the next fight, man. The main event: Sebastian Fundora versus Cordell Booker, man. Um, yeah, this was a wash last night for Sebastian Fundora, bro. Like, and salute to my boy Doobie's Ring, man. He called this shit. He said that Sebastian Fundora was gonna stop Cordell Booker early, and he definitely did that, man. Got a scored a 4th round knockout last night, retaining his WBC and WBO titles last night, man. He looked sharp. I watching this fight last night. I'm just looking at the height of um, this man Sebastian Fundora, man. Like just his height was just overwhelming Cordell Booker. Cordell Booker, he didn't know where to pick his shots or anything. He couldn't even really invest in the body at all either. You know what I mean? Like Sebastian Fundora was just, sticking with his jab, controlling his range and picking his shots and just picking Cordell Booker apart where no, he picked him apart to where he had that man leaking out there and stopped that man, knocked him down once. Then Booker got up in the 4th round, and then he stopped him, and it was over after that. It was all she wrote, man. And salute to Sebastian Fedora on a beautiful performance last night, man, for sure. Interested to see what's next for Sebastian Fedora. Like I said, I heard him last night. Um, he mentioned Xander Zayas, and Xander Zayas, he's ranked number 2 in the WBC right now, man. So that's a fight that will be very interesting. Xander Zayas got some decent height on him too, as well, man. And he's the young phenom over there, top rank, that's undefeated over there and been looking sharp. He just got a knockout in his last fight a couple weeks ago, and I like this fight, man. Xander Zayas and Sebastian Fundora. One thing about it too, though, just to remember, Virgil Ortiz is the interim champion at the WBC. So really, curious to see if the WBC would mandate that fight with Virgil Ortiz and Sebastian Fundora. Like, I'm really interested in that. You know what I mean? Because Virgil Ortiz, he's just coming off his great performance he put on with Israel Madrimov, where he beat him. And I'm really looking at the landscape. I'm like, that fight looks like the more logical fight to make. It may be a little bit of roadblocks, a little bit, as far as the Turkey situation, because maybe Turkey may want to try to take a fight like that. But Sebastian Fundora, and as you already know, his promoter, his manager is Samson Liquid, and he's not kissing the ring for Turkey. And we're gonna get to talking about Samson Liquid and David Benavidez shortly, but just to give a little sample size for it, Samson is not going to kiss the ring for Turkey in any capacity with any of his fighters. So just the thought of Sebastian Fundora and Virgil Ortiz, if it can be some type of direct correlation with PBC and Oscar De La Hoya, where they can make this fight happen, because Sebastian Fundora would be technically the A side due to him being the champion, having the WBC and WBO straps at 154. If he was to fight Virgil Ortiz, even though Virgil Ortiz is a guy that could bring out a great fan base if they was to have a fight out there in Texas. You know what I mean? They have been I think they have a great turnout if they was to fight. But that's a fight that I feel like Sebastian Fedora should look forward to possibly, unless he's thinking about unifying. Got background that has the IBF. The Bud Crawford, they didn't know the WBA. Now that Bud Crawford's about to move up to 168 to fight Canelo in September, they're making the Bud Crawford relinquish the WBA 154 title. So you got a guy that the interim champion Eunice Telez, which is another PBC fighter. You can probably see him maybe try to unify maybe with him, maybe possibly. But Sebastian Fedora, he got two straps at 154. Curious to see what he does. Like I said, a great fight. Fights for him is Virgil Ortiz. I would say Jesus Ramos. Those are two great fights in my opinion for Sebastian Fedora. Or if he's going to try to unify with Bakram or fight with Eunice Telez. You know what I mean? Those are are four good fights for Sebastian Fedora, in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? But great fight from Sebastian Fedora last night, man. Definitely was excited to see him look sharp and look clean. That was a replacement fight, by the way, because Sebastian Fedora, he was looking forward to possibly fighting Errol Spence, but it didn't happen to materialize. So we'll see what happens next for Sebastian Fedora, man. And let's get to the next topic, man. Um, Canelo Crawford, Canelo versus Bud Crawford, man. Shakur Stevenson did an interview recently, man, where he was talking about basically that he knew he was on Ring Magazine, by the way. Salute to them. He was speaking about that he knew that since Bud fought, who was it? Sean Porter. He said he knew since Sean Porter that Bud was gonna fight Canelo. It kind of crazy because all the talk around that time was Bud fighting Earl at that time. Kind of crazy, but that's a whole nother story. But this man, Shakur goes on to say in the interview that Bud, everybody's going to be surprised the Bud power. Um, Bud is going to be more stronger than Canelo in the ring. People just don't know. And it was just interesting to hear him say that, man, because like I was saying, man, with this fight with Canelo versus Bud, me personally, I personally feel that Canelo just moving up in weight to fight Canelo in 168, which is in Bud Crawford, and and from his perspective, he's one fight removed at 154, and that was a tough fight, a very tough fight where he had to really he had to pick up gears in the championship rounds to close out and win that fight. And Madrimov just fought Virgil Ortiz, and Virgil Ortiz, he fought a great fight and beat him clear in that fight, in my opinion. Not doing no triangle theory because both of them, styles make fights, and both of them are, all three of those guys, Madrimov, Bud, and Virgil Ortiz, all of them are different style of fighters and stuff. But just the weight, man, the weight concern for me, man, honestly, bro, all things salute, man. What's good, brother? Oh God, man. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, let me get my boy right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Just the weight, man, for Bud Crawford, man. Like I just feel like with the weight, man, it's just a problem for 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 Bud Crawford versus Canelo, man. And it's gonna play a real big effect in this fight when they do fight. And Shakur Stevenson is saying that he believes he's gonna be stronger. I think a lot of people is believing that as far as Bud having a background in wrestling and stuff and everything. Which Bud is very athletic. Like just to be let's be real. Like if this fight was at a lower division, I would take Bud. You know what I'm saying? If this was in a lower division. But the fact that Bud is moving up 3 weight classes in this fight, I can't take Bud in this fight, man. Especially just um watching what's the name and watching what happened to Jamil Charlo in that fight, man. I like I always says I'm gonna take in my videos where I said I do believe Bud will make it more competitive than Jamil Charlo did, but I just don't think he's gonna win this fight with Canelo, man. Canelo's a different monster, man, for real out there. And he's definitely gonna be looking sharp and be focused and locked in to be Bud Crawford because he know his no his brand would be definitely tarnished and damaged if he was to lose the Bud with Bud moving up pretty much 2 3 weight classes just to beat him, man. Like it'll be real nasty work for Canelo, man, for real. Like so just pertaining to that for our Shakur comments, man, believing that know um that Bud Carver's gonna be the stronger guy and that people's gonna be shocked by Bud's power. I'm waiting to see, man. I'm interested to see this, man. For real, man. I see Bud bulking up and everything, like him bulking up and trying to slim that weight down and everything, man. His body ain't me personally. From that picture that he had a couple days ago, he showed up on Instagram it didn't really look too ain't look too crazy to me, man. It looks like it's just not going to be a great fight per se to me, man. I will say this. I do want Bud Crawford to win this fight though with Canelo. I will say this. I want Bud to win. I am rooting for him to win this fight, but just me being realistic, I don't think he's gonna win this fight, but we will see in September, man. You know what I'm saying? And let's move on to the next topic, man. The next segment, man. Um, TKO boxing, man. These rumored purses was crazy. What I seen the other day, man. Where I was just looking at these rumored purses, like, bro, what y'all doing with these purses, bro? Like, nobody's not about to accept these purses, man. They not, bro. They not. They not. So I'm gonna go ahead and speak about the rumor purses, the rumor fight purses for TKO boxing. 20,000 for unranked 10 rounds. 50,000 for number five, um 10 ranked. 125,000 for number three, 4 ranked. 375,000 for title challenger and 750,000 for title defense, man. So, man, this man Turkey and them, they just bringing they Dana White and Turkey's bringing the UFC style 100% to boxing, 100% to boxing. For us, how they're trying to groom up the fighters. For us, it sounds like to me that they're trying to start from the ground up and with the pay. But in between, of course, Turkey has relationships with some of these fighters and promoters, and it goes into a conversation as far as the promoters. Y'all better be on your job, man, and watch out, man. This man Turkey, he probably the whole time along while he been paying for y'all fights, paying for y'all fighters to fight on his cars on Riyadh season and stuff. Whole time in the back of his mind, I'm trying to reel some of these fighters in. So when I do close it up, I close up shop and I'm going everything TKO boxing. I want to get some of these fighters over here on TKO boxing. So the promoters, I'm gonna say this now. Y'all better be locked in and have your business right. You better have your business right with your fighters, man. Because Turkey and Dana, they will try to steal your fighters if y'all allow it. They will. They will. But the only concerning thing to me is, as far as this, like I said with TKO boxing before, them trying to eliminate the Muhammad Ali Act, that's not going to work because you need Senate to sign off on that, and Senate is not going to sign off on that. If we want to be realistic, just talking about that in general, and deeper perspective, the pay that pay is not going to go well with a lot of these fighters. It may go right with some of them fighters that they groom up, that they try to have like the little ultimate fighter, little serious and stuff, where they trying to groom up fighters for a contract and stuff like that in the UFC. If they do something similar like that with TKO boxing, I mean that capacity for us to pay for us those guys, like these guys that they're trying to come up in boxing, it may work well with those guys, but the current stars, the current fighters in boxing is not going to go for that pay. Dana White has a bad track record of paying his UFC fighters, let alone you already know he already just had to pay out $375 million to former UFC fighters just recently when they sued him for over $1 billion. And he ended up settling. They ended up settling for 375 million. He just lost that to former UFC fighters of his. So you just looking at it, man. Like, and Turkey, he's on record saying that he got 18 months left with his obligations for as you know the promoters and the fights that he has in place, and then everything is going to be all TKO boxing. It's real interesting to see what happens, man. For real, like real shit. Like I'm really interested in seeing what happens in this case because I don't think this is going to last long. I don't think the TKO boxing thing is going to work. It's almost pretty much getting shut down for real, damn near when it's getting off the ground. And even Ryan Garcia said, "Shit, if TKO boxing paying like no UFC, nobody ain't fucking with it." And and, and you looking at these purses, it looks like they on that type of timing for real. They for real on that type of timing, man. Like they real on that type of timing. And I heard Gary Jonas cooking them. He was cooking turkey and cooking Dana White. Basically saying that he don't that Turkey, his time and being in boxing, that financially they have not made he hasn't made any money. And not making money in boxing doesn't help the sport. And he was saying like he ain't hating on him. He ain't hating on him. He appreciate what Turkey's doing for the sport and stuff, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, like being, a businessman in any business, I don't care if you got billions or trillions of dollars. Who wants to wake up in the morning knowing that they losing millions of dollars? Like what business out here wants to wake up knowing that they're losing 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, all here and there on events, on business projects that they're trying to do. I don't think any businessman wants to lose money like that in that manner, man. Like that's some real nasty work. Like it doesn't even make sense. And me personally, I just don't think. No, I always been on record with Turkey saying that this shit with Turkey spending money, it's not going to last, and it's looking like that. Of course, Saudi Arabia government they cutting their money back. They don't want him to spend no money unless it's in Saudi Arabia, and Turkey's on his own dime right now, bro. He on his own dime, and he like shit. Let me get Dana White in here so I can have uh, I can go down here and have a cheap ass game plan and cheaper purses for these fighters. Cause I ain't about to be paying all of these fighters millions and million dollars no more on my dime. And that's just the reality of it, man, right now, man. And we'll see what happens with this TKO boxing, man. But me personally, I don't think it's gonna last. But we'll see what happens, man. But let's get to the next topic, man. Next segment. Gabe Rosado, man, and Rampage Jackson, man. They cooked the Haney's, man. Gabe Rosado, of course, was on the boxing voice. He was cooking the Haney's, basically saying the Haney's, they some hoes for the bag. You know what I'm saying? They only care about the bag. They'll go against their integrity and morals for the bag. And Rampage Jackson, he was on record in an interview recently saying that Devin Haney is a saying Devin Haney is a pussy. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean all of that going crazy on him, and of course the man, uh, of course we seen Gabe Rosado and Bill Haney was they was on the boxing voice going back and forth, and everybody already know Gabe Rosado cooked Bill Haney, you know what I'm saying? And Bill Haney didn't have anything to really revert and say back for real, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, besides mention that Gabe Rosado lost 17 fights and that he was a gatekeeper, which is, Gabe Rosado is a guy that he's on record. He's acknowledging that, yes, I am a gatekeeper. I'm one of the greatest gatekeepers. That's what Gabe Rosado said. And Gabe Rosado, he done fought a lot of great fights in his in his fighting career, man. Made millions of dollars, man. Definitely fought some great fights. You know what I mean? But he kept it real with him. In reality, on the subject that matter is the fact that y'all are some hoes for taking the bag over y'all integrity and morals. And it goes back to it. Y'all fighting on Ryan Garcia's undercard. Like, y'all just sued this man. Y'all sued him. Y'all look like the laughing stock of boxing because y'all literally the first boxers in history for real to sue somebody for battery in a boxing match. And just looking at it, bro, like Bill Haney couldn't say anything about it. He couldn't say anything about it, man. And it just it was just nasty work looking at Bill Haney try to deflect it. Like I say always about the Honeys, when you say some shit to them, they gonna deflect and they gonna try to talk about something and attack you in a different manner. They ain't gonna stay on subject on what the debate is actually about, and that goes with all of the Haney fans as well. You ask them a question, they won't answer the question. They gonna either ask you a question on top of the question you ask them, or if you ask them the question, they gonna end up trying to change the topic or attack you in a different manner. That shit didn't work with Gabe Rosado. Gabe Rosado cooked them, man, and stayed on a helmet, telling them boys, "Hey, y'all sue Ryan Garcia. Y'all was the first in boxing to do it, and y'all look like some hoes, and y'all some hoes for the bag, cause y'all fighting on Ryan Garcia undercard. Y'all got no integrity or morals, and that's just the fact of the matter, man. And the Haney fans, they trying to play this whole race card and all of this shit. No, that race car shit is dead, bro. It's dead. Especially when you started your career off fighting in Mexico. Especially when we seen you in the fight with Ryan Garcia holding up a whole Mexican flag. You and Bill Haney up on stage holding the daggone Mexican flag at the weigh-in. Nobody don't want to. Nobody ain't hearing that whole race car shit, man. Like I seen Bill Haney say, Mexican fighters get praised for effort. They just have to fight and they get love. Black fighters have to not just win, but win big and only win. And only then they might get a little respect. They have to fight. We have to win, which he does make a case in particular as far as the black fighters. Yes, they do have to win because you got to look at the whole the black culture for us in boxing, you know, everybody's divided with their favorite fighters and stuff like that. So, but it's more so like barbershop talk. We all talk barbershop talk, talking boxing and stuff, and like, oh man, Earl he'll beat Bud. Oh, Bud will beat Earl. Oh, Tank will beat Shakur. Oh, Shakur beat Tank. You know what I'm saying? It's all good for conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't more so like, yeah, it is some real hardcore fans that be going hard for, you know, their favorite fighters in the black culture and stuff, and argue with each other and be, trolling and going crazy, which is, that shit happen on the internet every day. Especially, I got trolls that be on, on my platform. You know what I mean? That be trolling me and stuff. You know what I mean? So, and I don't be tripping about them. I just be ignoring them. But at the same time, though, Bill, for as just saying like the the black culture, the black fighters is not getting love from the black culture like the same way that as the Mexican fighters. That's not the case in the case for you. Because I can name hella fighters that us black culture love. You know, RIP to George Foreman. No, we love George Foreman. We love Muhammad Ali. We love Mike Tyson. We love Marvin Hagler. We love Sugar Ray Leonard. We love Sugar Ray Robinson. We love Floyd Mayweather. We love Tank Davis. Some people love Shakur. Some people love Devin Haney. You know what I mean? Some people love Pernell Whitaker. You know what I'm saying? I can name multiple fighters that's fought that us black culture, we love black fighters. Like we love black fighters. Just in the case for Devin Haney, the thing with him was how they came in the game. Y'all came in the game clout chasing off of Tank Davis' name for real, and y'all was doing it the wrong way. Every time Tank won a fight, y'all was up here talking shit, posting sparring clips of Hector Garcia the week that Tank fight Hector Garcia and stuff like that, doing shit like that, posting Tank mug shots, calling Tank a monkey. Like when y'all do stuff like that, nobody like the real ones, nobody's not gonna respect y'all trying to pull the race card. Nobody's gonna respect y'all when we see Devin Haney being friendly on an airplane with Teofimo Lopez when Teofimo Lopez is a known racist. A known racist. You can't respect Devin Haney being cool with Teofimo Lopez, but then want us not to be cool with Ryan Garcia because y'all feel Ryan Garcia is a racist. That's contradictory. It don't work both ways, and it's not gonna work on my behalf. You know what I mean? Like I that whole race car shit that the Haney's is pulling, I'm not buying it and I'm not jacking it. And I think it's a waste of time, man. It's a waste of time, more so due to the fact that right now the Haney's they mad at the fact that they cannot control the narrative right now. They don't have the control of the narrative that they used to have. And that's the issue right now with them. And they cannot control the narrative of what happened last year with the fight with him and Ryan Garcia until they have the rematch. They cannot control the narrative on how Devin looked on if he's still an elite fighter until he fights Jose Ramirez May 2nd. The Haney's wants to control the narrative, and for the first time in their career, they can't control the narrative in any shape or fashion in any type of conversation pertaining to anything for us what the Devin Haney and Bill Haney has going on. And that's just the fact of the matter, and they're hurt by that shit. They're hurt. Bills get out on every platform trying to do damage control. Like, look at him. I knew he was gonna respond back to Rampage Jackson when Rampage Jackson made his little comment about him in his interview. And this is what he said about him. He said, Rampage Jackson talked about all that about steroids, contracts, and unfair treatment, but went MIA when it was time to stand on business in the UFC. Never took a stand, never took action, just took whatever they gave him. This is the problem I got with that. You saying that he never took a chance, took a stance on steroids, etc., but you stopped taking your stance. Y'all dropped the lawsuit so y'all can fight Jose Ramirez and fight Ryan Garcia in the rematch. So where's this Hall taking a stance and standing on business shit that you talking about on Rampage Jackson for your own selves? This is why I be talking about the Haney so bad, where I be saying like these guys, they are so much habitual liars. They contradict themselves all the time. They try to control the narrative with bullshit propaganda, and that shit won't work on CamJ Network. It will not work on Sorry But Not Sorry Boxing Talk ever. I promise you. I promise you. It hasn't. It hasn't since then because I've been pulling out the contradictions and the lies on the Haneys the last 3, 4 years. And this is just another one on top of all of the lies and contradictions that they already had over the past few years. Like this is like y'all not standing on business. Y'all dropped the lawsuit for the money. Y'all was about to fight on BLK Prime. Y'all was like y'all act like we don't know this. Like y'all was literally about to fight on BLK Prime, and y'all literally had to go kiss the ring, go over there and dick eat turkey just to get some money over there in Saudi Arabia. And for y'all to have a rematch with Ryan Garcia, y'all had to drop the lawsuit because Ryan already said and was on record saying that, hey, for the rematch to happen, he got to drop the lawsuit. We'll sign and make that fight happen and get it delivered if the rematch happen. If he drops the lawsuit, what did the Haney's do? They dropped the lawsuit so they can make the rematch happen. Ryan Garcia's already on record on Ring Chance saying that the rematch for Ryan and Devin Haney is signed and locked. And it, we all talking about the Haney's right now. Gabe Rosado was 100% right. Rampage Jackson was 100% right. They is some hoes for the money. I've been calling these boys out and saying these boys, they got soft mentality. They feelings be hurt. Their opinions be based off their emotions. The Haneys still is the biggest laughing stock in boxing right now. And they have to be the ones to control that narrative and change that narrative by beating Jose Ramirez and beating Ryan Garcia in that rematch in October. And by the way, that rematch in Saudi Arabia, as far as Ryan and Devin, don't like it to be in Saudi Arabia, and I'm gonna keep saying that in all of my videos. It needs to be in America, bro. It can do great numbers in America. They really missing out on making money with that fight being in America because that rematch is going to make a shitload of money if it's in America. But like I said, the Haneys is not going to be able to control the narrative and change that narrative about themselves until Devin get in that ring fighting Jose Ramirez and Ryan Garcia, especially fighting Ryan Garcia. He got to get past Jose first, but right now we don't like we saying we don't know what Devin gonna look like. Is he gonna be punch shy in this fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, is his game plan gonna be awful? Like, because of Bill Haney in the corner still being his trainer. You know what I'm saying? And Bill Haney's not a great trainer at all. Let's be real. He's not. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see. We'll definitely see what's popping with him for sure. And brings me on to the main topic at hand, man, for sure, man. Let's get to it, man. The landscape of the lightweight division, man. And I was gonna do this live stream yesterday, around 1:30, but I had some little shit going on, you know what I'm saying? Me and the wife had to, get some stuff together, man. Salute to Mrs. Cam J. And I was like, man, I got to go live and talk about it. I can recap the fights from last night, and then I can get into talking about this specific topic, man. The landscape of the 135-pound division, man, the lightweight division, man. And let's go just start off, man, with Lomachenko. Starting off with him. What's next for Lomachenko? Lomachenko, his manager, Aegis Kilmas, he did an interview with YSM Sports Media. Salute to them guys. Um, Basically on record saying that he believes Tank is a much better fighter than Shakur. He think it'll be a challenging fight for Tank Davis, saying that Tank is the more skillful fighter than Shakur, and it would make more sense financially to fight Tank rather than fight Shakur Stevenson. So he basically saying basically off of the challenge and the financial base, the fight for Lomachenko with Tank is the more better fight for Lomachenko rather than fighting Shakur Stevenson. And he said that's the fight that Lomachenko wants coming back. And that's something that I love to hear for sure. Just in my personal opinion, my take on it, and I agree with them for as the fight being a better fight for us, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson, or for us for Lomachenko. I think Tank is the better fight. It's the more challenging fight. That fight would be a high action impact fight, and then we'll see, you know, Shakur like Aegis Kilmas, running around, shelling up and stuff, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Shakur, man, ducking and dodging and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because Loma, he bringing that heat still, man. If y'all watched Lomachenko in that fight last year, man, he was bringing that heat last year, man. In that fight with George Kambosos, man. Basically pitched a shutout, stopping him in the 11th round, man. They had to throw in the towel on George Kambosos. It was nasty work in Australia and George Kambosos' hometown. He packed them up, sealed and delivered. He said, my boy Arthur, he said, I like that fight too after he rematched Roach. Yeah, for sure, man. It makes perfect sense, man, for Lomachenko, in my opinion. If he is planning to get back active, of course, Tank and Roach, they got the rematch locked in for June 21st in Vegas. Something that I predicted for real that it was going to be around Juneteenth and it was going to be in Vegas, by the way. And I think Loma should get you a tune up, get you a tune up fight in, get get your body back working right. You know what I'm saying? Get it back working good, and get sharp for a fight with Tank Davis towards the end of the year, man. Because if Tank gets past Roach in a rematch, it'll make great for a big unification fight that a lot of boxing fans, including myself, all been wanting for years. Tank Davis versus Lomachenko, and all these people writing Lomachenko off, talking about Lomachenko old and stuff. Bro, Lomachenko is the same age as Alexander Usyk and Bud Crawford. They all the same age, and we ain't seeing them boys is old and washed up. We ain't seeing Usyk and Bud washed up. Look what they doing. They still fighting at an elite level. You know what I mean? And looking at the last fight from Lomachenko, even though I'm gonna be honest, Cambosis is not a great fighter in my opinion. But Lomachenko, he dominated him. He did something Devin Haney couldn't do in 24 rounds with Cambosis, in which he stopped him in the 11th round, where Cambosis' team, his pops, had to throw in the towel. They had to end that fight because that boy was getting done dirty out there. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, Loma versus Tank towards the end of the year. Loma get you a tune up in, and then come back lock and loaded and ready for Tank. Tank get past Roach in June. I'll be definitely highly ready for that fight, man, for sure. And I love that fight, and I think that's a way better fight for Loma than Shakur Stevenson. We know Keyshawn Davis does not happen. Is high risk, low reward for Loma. Same thing with Shakur Stevenson. Is high risk, low reward for Loma to fight Keyshawn or Shakur, honestly. And it's high risk, high reward to fight Tank Davis. So it makes more sense to fight Tank Davis. If you lose, you're gonna get a big ass payday for it. You know what I'm saying? If you lose to Shakur Stevens and Keyshawn, you just probably just gonna get a few million. You know what I'm saying? Rather you could probably make damn near 10 to 20 million fighting Tank Davis. So it makes all more sense for Lomachenko to do that more so for sure. And let's get into it, man. Shakur Stevenson, though. I'm gonna talk about him first. What's next for Shakur Stevenson? What's next for Shakur Stevenson, bro? Like that's what I want to know. Like Shakur Stevenson, of course, Javier Herrera, he got a 6 round knockout in his fight last week. And of course, he's on record, calling out Shakur Stevenson, talking about he won't smoke with Shakur Stevenson, talking about he had killed Shakur Stevenson and everything, man. You know what I'm saying? And Shakur Stevenson talking about, man, who is this guy? I don't, man, like, why y'all trying to give me these kids, man? I don't want kids, man. I want the big names. I'm just looking at the landscape for Shakur Stevenson at 135 as far as the WBC sanctioning rankings, man. And I mean, of course, you got Williams to pay the fighting Tevin Farmer next Saturday. That's gonna be a big fight. That's gonna be a big fight for sure. Man, all things we gonna get there. We gonna get there. Williams Zepeda, of course, he's the interim champion. He's the mandatory for Shakur Stevenson for the WBC. Andy Cruz at one, not going to happen. Even though that will be an easy fight to make because Andy Cruz is on Matchroom and he is an Eddie Hearn fighter. But Eddie Hearn is on record right now saying that he wants Andy Cruz to fight Keyshawn Davis immediately. He want him to fight him immediately. He want that fight right now. He tired of Andy Cruz and Keyshawn waiting on this fight. He wants the fight right now. And we're gonna get to talk about Keyshawn shortly after Shakur real quick. But Andy Cruz, we know that fight ain't happening. Tevin Farmer, interesting. If Tevin Farmer was to beat Williams Zepeda and they was to decide to be like, oh, let's give Tevin Farmer a shot at Shakur. I wouldn't mind that fight, but at the same time, it's not going to be a great fight to watch per se, due to both of their styles, both of them being like skillful boxers. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a, a real joyful fight to watch, but it'd be a good fight for Shakur if he was to have that fight. Um, Ricardo Nunez is at three. We know that ain't happening most likely for sure. Sam Noakes, that's a guy that people then threw out his name and stuff. Yes, he has an undefeated record and he has a lot of knockouts, but Shakur, no. Frank Martin's at 140 now. Joe Cordina's at six. Right here, Joe Cordina. I'm gonna say this, and I said this the other day on my live with my boy Doobie's Ring, man. If Joe Cordina and Shakur was the fight, bro, I would be highly upset, bro. It'll even more assure me that when Shakur was at 130, because if you go back, look at interviews from, like, type in Joe Cordina on Shakur Stevenson. You can go back and look at interviews on Joe Cordina talking about Shakur Stevenson when Shakur was at 130, where he was calling out Shakur when he was at 130. And that's why I say how ironic Shakur Stevenson, he denies and not take the one fight deal fighting Tank Davis last November, ends up signing a multi-fight deal with Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. And his first fight on the deal was Joe Cordina. After years of Joe Cordina calling Shakur Stevenson out and Eddie Hearn talking about trying to make that fight happen, and Shakur was welcoming on that fight. The first fight on the deal was Joe Cordina. And just looking at the landscape, man, let's go ahead and get it out the way. All of the talk about Shakur Stevenson with Gary Tom Russell, because Gary Tom Russell went on the interview talking about he'll move down to 135 to fight Shakur Stevenson. It's not happening. So y'all can kill that. It's not happening. Gary Tom Russell possibly is going to have a rematch with Alberto Puello, possibly on the Tank card. June 21st. That's a possible fight that could be on that fight on that card, and they'll be unifying the WBC and the WBA titles at 140 if that fight happens with Gary Anton Russell and Alberto Puello. So that go ahead and take him out of the scenario. Teofimo Lopez, Shakur calling out Teofimo Lopez because Teofimo Lopez been trashing him, and I'm gonna end up doing a video about that too. Um, yeah, Teofimo Lopez Tyler, basically saying that Shakur's resume is trash. Man, he should move down in a lower weight class. He been trash at 135. He don't look the same and stuff. He got brittle hands. He dog walked Shakur the other day. Shakur he gets mad, and he said that Shakur should fight Hedier Herrera, and Shakur gets mad and says that he wants to fight Teofimo Lopez. Go ahead and map that fight out. Sh- Teofimo Lopez got a fight in May 2nd, and right now he's currently like in a whole like 140, 147 tournament right now among like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Boost Ennis right now. Like he got business going on. So map that out. Shakur's not fighting no Teofimo Lopez. So Gary Anton Russell, Teofimo Lopez, those two names that the Shakur fans is out there going crazy. Like, oh, they should fight. Shakur should fight Gary. Gary said he'll move down to 135. Oh, Teofimo talking shit. Shakur said he'll fight Teofimo Lopez. He should fight Teofimo Lopez. Not happening, bro. Not happening. His options right now. Looking at his options for realistically, either Williams Zepeda. Or if Williams and Pater loses, Tevin Farmer, we Joe Cordina and Javier Herrera at 10. Joe Cordina's at 6. Javier Herrera's at 10. Abdullah Mason's at 7. We know you ain't fighting him. We know that ain't happening. So the Shakur fans right now, y'all should be praying that Williams and Pater gets past Tevin Farmer this next Saturday. So Zepeda can come to the table and make the fight happen for as the mandatory fight with Shakur Stevenson and Williams Zepeda. Y'all should be praying that this go down because if that don't go down, I'm telling you, I would not be so surprised if this man Shakur Stevenson fights Joe Cordina, bro, on his next fight. Crazy. It would be nasty work. And I'm just looking at the whole rest of the landscape at 135. What other names that would make sense for Shakur to fight? We know he ain't fighting Kid Austin. That's not happening. We know Shakur ain't fighting Tank because Tank got Lamont Roach business June 21st. We know you ain't fighting Lomachenko. We know you ain't fighting Keyshawn. You said you and Keyshawn want $200 million to fight each other, which is nasty work in a sense because nobody's not paying that to you guys. So that ain't happening because y'all being fake brothers. So I mean, looking at who else? We know you ain't rematching Edwin De Los Santos. We know that ain't happening. You running from that fight, which that's the fight he should be trying to make happen, to be honest. He should be running it back. But this man that befriended Edwin De Los Santos now too. Why should Core be friends with all of these guys, man? I wanted to talk about that. Why is do y'all notice that this man Shakur literally he literally be friends with all of these guys, sparring with these guys, hanging out with these guys, having lunch and dinner with these guys. And then when it comes to fighting him, he said, "Oh, that's my brother, man. I don't want to fight him. I can't do that with him, man. I never fight him." Did the same shit with Keyshawn. He doing the same shit with Raymond Ford right now. Tried the same shit with Lamar Roach talking about when they both was at 130 and stuff. He like back like a couple years ago. Oh man, it'd be weird if we fight, man. It'd be weird if we fight, man. We cool for real, man. But we can line it up. Now Tank fight the nigga. He want to be like, as a mom, we can. If Tank don't give you the rematch, we can fight now. And it goes back to the whole Tank resume shit that I still never understand with you guys. Where y'all be saying Tank ain't got no resume. He ain't fought nobody in his resume. When all of these guys, all of his contemporaries, want to fight the guys that he's fought or beat. But that's a whole nother story. But back to Shakur. I'm trying to really understand why you be friends with all of these guys. Like you try to with Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason said, only people I ain't fighting is my blood brothers, my the Mason brothers. Those are the only guys I ain't fighting. Everybody else ain't exempt. Everybody got to get smoked. D1 was good, my brother. Was good. I'm ready to cook up a little bit, man. Cook up. But yeah, man. Shakur he be a lot of he be trying to be friends with a lot of these guys, not to fight these guys, man. That shit be nasty work, man. Like just watching this shit and the Shakur fan base don't want to talk about that shit, man. They do not want to talk about that. A lot of fans ain't peeping the play from Shakur. This man is being friends with a lot of fighters, so he won't be able to fight these guys. Like that's some real nasty work. He was friends with Tank until he got jealous and envious of Tank, seeing Tank stardom, seeing the money that Tank is getting, seeing all of the praise that Tank gets. Even it shows him. It shows even into Shakur fights where before the fights he talking about he gonna stop dudes. He talking about he stepping on shit and all of this and everything in between the fights, and then he going in the fights. He trying to get the knockout. Then he ain't able to get the knockout. Like like this should be nasty work, bro. A lot of these guys want to be Tank, man. That's why they hate and slander his name to try to make themselves look good. They always sit up there, they promote themselves off of Tank name every time when they have a fight. Every time Tank ain't available, they always screaming out Tank, 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 Tank. Their careers is based around Tank. This whole boxing shit for these guys revolve around Tank Davis, man. Real shit. Over promising and under delivering. Exactly, D1. That's all Shakur be doing, man. He always telling us he gonna do this and do that, and he never does it. When Tank say he gonna do this, he does it. That's the difference. Keyshawn recently, he's saying I'm gonna step on this dude, I'm gonna stop dudes. He doing it. Shakur the only one that ain't doing this shit, and we ignoring it. We talk all the Shakur fans talking about what Shakur has done at 126 and 130, but they don't want to talk about what he has done at 135. Shakur ain't did shit at 135. He ain't look good at 135 at all. What fight can we say Shakur look good at 135 for real? Yoshino? Really? What we gonna say? Josh Padley right there? Because I wasn't impressed with Josh Padley's performance, and a lot of people wasn't as well. We damn sure know that Edwin De Los Santos wasn't a great performance. That was one of the worst fights in 135-pound history. Through the the least punches in a 135 championship fight between Shakur Stevenson and Edwin De Los Santos. The autumn fight, lackluster. Had the chance to stop him and put the pressure, but he couldn't cut off the ring. He telling the guys after the fight he got to work on cutting off the ring. He apologizing to the fans. Then after that, he'd go back there and say, "Fuck the fans." And y'all as fans be jacking this shit. Y'all be jacking this shit Shakur be doing. Shakur is moving exactly like Devin Haney, bro. Promoting off a tank name, saying he gonna do this and do that, and don't do it. Can't sell. He's not a draw. He ain't never been on pay per view. And this man talking about he want high leverage to fight Tank Davis. Talking about they need to respect him for what? You ain't did shit. You getting booed all over the place. You got booed in Vegas on a Thursday night. You got booed at your hometown in Jersey. You got booed in Saudi Arabia after you stopped Josh Padley. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Like, what's Shakur gonna do? Like, what's next for Shakur? If he fights Joe Cordina, bro, I'm telling you, it's going to show even more that Shakur values money and easy fights more than he values these big name and big money fights. The main thing about Shakur Stevenson, what it looks like to me, in my opinion, that he looks like he wants to fight easy fights for big money. That's the reason why he signed over there to Matchroom. Just like Canelo, when Canelo was over there in the zone, he was fighting those European guys. They were easy fights for big money. And the crazy part about it, Shakur only made 2.2 million fighting Josh Padley. If he would have stayed over there and re-signed with Top Rank, he would have got 5 million per fight. And he's saying that was the biggest money he fought for in his career, 2.2 million versus Josh Padley. I wonder what the mother checks look like now. And it's nasty work for you to go away from where the smoke is at. All the 135 smoke is at Top ranking PBC. You went totally away from it so you can be over there at Matchroom to fight Josh Padley and Joe Cordina. You begging for a Williams to pay the fight. You had to take a look and give up a look for fucking Kid Austin for a fight that didn't happen. Like you selling yourself short, Shakur. Like you really selling yourself short. You had a chance to fight Tank Davis last year. You didn't want to fight Tank Davis last year because you wanted to sit up there and fight Joe Cordina in a multi-fight deal on Matchroom Boxing. That's just the facts. Two cents salute was good. That's just the facts, man. We want to see Shakur fight some guys with some pop behind their punches, man, and we ain't getting that right now. We're not getting that. Javier Herrera is a good opponent if Shakur can't get Williams to pay the or Tevin Farmer if Tevin Farmer happens to beat Williams to pay the because I wouldn't mind seeing Tevin Farmer and Shakur get it popping if Tevin Farmer pulls off the upset versus Williams to pay in this next fight. But I feel like you know how the business goes. If it's a close fight coming down to decision, they gonna probably give the nod to Williams to pay of course. You know what I mean? Because that's their guy. You know what I mean? So I got Williams to definitely winning next week in this fight. But I'm definitely locked in and ready to watch that fight with Williams to and Tevin Farmer next week for sure. But I will say for us, Shakur, you know what I mean? Like back to him, just saying in general, if you can't get that Williams to we don't want to see Joe Cordina, man. I would like to see Javier Herrera. That I would like to see it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I think you'll win the fight. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and take the fight, beat the man down, you know what I mean, and move on and try to, get ready for a fight with no Tank if he's available for us 2026. Because we already know you're not going to fight over two times. You already said it in your interview. You're only going to fight two times. You already fought once. So go ahead and get this Javier Herrera, this allegedly last fight on the deal, and we'll see from there. Yeah, 2 cents. He not fighting tough comp until his hands are better. Facts. And he got to figure, and that's the most of all. He got to figure his hand situation out. He already on record saying that he don't want to fight Tank Davis until his hands is 100% healed. So he definitely got to figure that situation out for sure. Definitely, definitely. And I just want I like Shakur for sure. I just I don't like how Shakur's been moving far as you know doing a lot of you catching him in a lot of contradictions, a lot of lies, and he's not moving you know humbly as he used to. You know what I'm saying? He was just out there, downplaying Tank. No, he was just in the interview with what's the name with Najee on Cigar Talk. He was downplaying Tank, talking about his resume and all of that and stuff. Then we be talking about Shakur resume, like, bro, your resume is not that strong, Shakur. We can make a fair statement that Tank's resume is definitely better than yours, and a lot of people believe that. That's the honest to God truth. A lot of people believe that Tank Davis' resume is better than Shakur. And the other day too, just getting into Keyshawn for us the landscape. Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis. What's next for Keyshawn Davis? Pretty much. Yesterday, literally, Edwin De Los Santos and he called out Keyshawn Davis a couple days ago. Keyshawn Davis responded saying, "What's up with the fight? He wanted to make the fight happen." And Edwin, it looked like that fight may be happening now. Of course, it was rumors with Edwin De Los Santos versus Frank Martin at 140, but Edwin De Los Santos, he did an interview recently saying that he wasn't moving up to 140 and that he called out Keyshawn Davis in the process of this interview. And something interesting that Edwin De Los Santos said in this interview that I seen from him recently. I can't remember the source where I seen the interview. I can't remember right now. My mind went blank on it. But just on the conversation though, Edwin De Los Santos said that him and Shakur Stevenson has became great. They probably like great friends. Like I said again, Shakur being friends with these guys too friendly. He said he looks to possibly he would like Shakur Stevenson to be his manager to manage his career, which was weird to me. Like, why would you want Shakur Stevenson to manage your career, Edwin? Like his career ain't going that crazy right now. He over there fighting overseas, fighting easy fights over there right now. He's not getting the he's not maximizing his finances with fighting those fights that he's fighting over there, fighting those easy fights for real. He can be making bigger money fighting bigger fights. And Shakur's not doing that. He's taking the easy route in boxing right now. Edwin, we know you ain't that type of guy. And taking a fight with Keyshawn Davis, that ain't no easy fight for real. You know what I'm saying? That's a good ass fight, and I love that fight. But just to talk about Edwin speaking on Shakur Stevenson, being his manager, I think it's stupid. It's a dumbass idea. Don't do it. Stay where you at. Find somebody else, man. I'll say that. And that's just on that. But pertaining to Edwin De Los Santos and Keyshawn Davis, I like this fight. This fight should definitely get made. This fight should definitely get made for sure, man. Um, Edwin De Los Santos, power puncher. Keyshawn Davis, no, he got some stats, some skill, and he got some power behind his punches for sure too. I think it'll be a high impact fight, and this would be a fight for Keyshawn to really, test where he at. You know what I mean? Because Keyshawn, he ain't gonna be running and ducking and hiding away like Shakur did with Edwin. He gonna bang with him. I think this will really be a high impact action fight for sure, man. And hopefully they can make this fight, man, happen, man. It looked like top rank and Keyshawn, they're making a push for it to make it happen. And this is a fight that look like it's probably gonna end up probably materializing most likely, man. PBC, they'll probably definitely allow Edwin to get a title shot. You know what I mean? To try to see if Edwin can bring that WBO title over there to the PB side of the street. And we'll see, man. I'm excited for that. And I was gonna talk like with Keyshawn because if Keyshawn, if he's not making that fight happen, Andy Cruz. We got to see it. We got to see it now. It's time. It's time. That man beat you 4 times in the amateurs, man. It's time. We got to see that fight. If you don't make the Edwin De Los Santos fight happen, I want to see that fight for sure. I gotta say that. I want to see that fight. And I'm just looking at who else is another fight for Keyshawn I would like to see. Raymond Muratella. You know what I'm saying? I know Raymond, he got a fight in May. So if he was to fight Keyshawn, it'll probably be later on in the year. If Keyshawn would like to wait till the fall, probably, you know what I'm saying? But no, top rank, they got to do their job. That's a fight that they need to make happen. Yeah, Key and Edwin. Yeah, Key and Edwin is a great fight. I love that fight, man. And Edwin's number 13 in the WBO, and PBC, they'll definitely send him over there for that fight for sure, for sure. And I love that fight for Keyshawn. That'll really test him out, and that'll be a high impact action fight, man. They'll be banging for sure, man. That'll be a banger, like. I mean, I definitely hope they can make that fight, man. But far as Keyshawn, like I said, if it ain't Edwin De Los Santos, I would like to see him against either Andy Cruz or Raymond Muratella. That's my two options for him personally. You know what I'm saying? And that's that for that. And we already know Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach, man. The rematch is on the way, June 21st in Vegas. And if you ain't watched like one of my recent videos talking about the rematch, man, I said the rematch should be in Vegas, man. If I was Tank Davis, I would take Lamont Roach over to Vegas. Get him out of the East Coast. Lamont Roach got all these fans and stuff all of a sudden. Take that man over there to the Vegas and allow his fans to travel to Vegas to fight you in Vegas, man. And that looks like that's what Tank Davis is doing, man. And I'm excited, man. It just feels good just to see Tank Davis handle shit like a real one, man. Like he going for the rematch right back. He ain't doing Devin Haney where Devin Haney sitting there got to sue you first. Then I got to take a light touch fight with Jose Ramirez, which is really not 100% a light touch fight, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Let me take a light touch fight first before I get the rematch with Ryan Garcia. Let me see where I'm at first. You know what I'm saying? That was actually something that I did advise Devin Haney to do, to be honest. The way that fight looked last year, because that fight looked crazy though. That was a crazy fight. But yeah, man. Tank Davis is the real one taking this rematch right away, man. I'm excited for it for sure. My boy D1 said it don't matter where the fight's at. I'll be there. Facts, boy. I already know, man. Salute to D1, man. Hey, subscribe to my boy D1, man. And the Angry White Man podcast on YouTube, man. Great dudes, man. So, hey, also subscribe to Two Cents Boxing for sure, man. And subscribe to both of them as they support me, I support them. It's all love, man. They got great boxing content daily, man. So salute to both of them for sure, man. But yeah, man, the rematch June 21st. I'm excited about it. A lot of the hate on Tank, man, from Paula Malignaggi, Brian Norman Sr. talk about Tank mentally weak. A guy coming from Baltimore, a guy coming from nothing, a guy coming from a foster home where he didn't have his parents in his life, so much. His mom being on drugs and everything um that this man Tank Davis has came from, bro. Just to call him mentally weak is just stupid to me. It's stupid. It's nonsense. It's dumb. It shows the hate in these guys. Paula Malignaggi been on record hating on Tank Davis for a long ass time, and Paula Malignaggi he can't sit up there and talk about shit. He didn't have a good career for real, 100%. Yeah, he made good money, but at the same time, all of the big fights that he done had. He done lost all his big fights. You know what I mean? Brittle hands. Like you can't sit there and be talking about this. Like, bro, like AB beat your ass and he took your girl. So you can't talk about me, man. You can't talk about shit. Nobody want to hear nothing from no Paulo Malignaggi. And I like Polly, man. But at times, like with some of his takes, I like some of his takes, but the take for us that shit, just to call Tank mentally weak, It's the dumbest shit ever, man, and it's out of pocket for real. My boy D1, he said to call somebody like Tank mentally weak, considering the background he came from, is absolutely bizarre, and it tells me Buddy's a hater. Facts, bro. Simply a hater, man. Like trying to find any way to hate on Tank in any shape or fashion, man. And Brian Norman Sr., same guy talking about Tank Davis, talking about he mentally weak, bro. You about to fight on a whole woman undercard next week against somebody that we don't know, that's somebody that we don't care about. You had a chance to fight Boo Sanders last year, and y'all nutted up, and y'all ain't want to take the fight because y'all was trying to get more money out of the deal. When y'all guys is making 50,000, 100,000 for fights, y'all making 150,000 in this fight next week. Y'all could have made over a million, million and a half, close to 2 million fighting Boo Sanders, but y'all ain't want to take the chance. So shut up with that. Like nobody want to hear that shit from Brian Norman Sr., man. Like these guys' opinions, man. That's why I be saying these guys' opinions be based off their emotions, man. These guys be emotion. They show they hate within their opinions, man. You see the hate on Tank Davis. I think Tank is getting the most hate. He's getting just as much hate as Floyd did, man, when Floyd was fighting. I think he's getting more, to be honest. I honestly think Tank is getting more hate than Floyd did when Floyd was fighting. And it's just nasty work to see, man. You see these paid YouTube channels, these paid Facebook and Instagram pages out here, literally hating on Tank every day, bro. Like I see it every day. A lot of these guys saying Tank ain't fought nobody, Tank ain't did shit for the sport. Everybody want to talk about Tank ain't became undisputed. When your favorite fighters is on record out here saying that they don't care about being undisputed, you want to know why? Because they want some fucking money. They want some money. You can't take no belt. Yeah, you can take some belts to the grave. You can't take no belts to the bank, though. I'll tell you that. You looking at these fighters like Michael Moore. He's a Michael Moore. Michael Moore, a legend in boxing, legend in the heavyweight division. He a guy right now talking about that he wish he would have did better with his money and all of that. That he messed up in the game because of his money and stuff. You want to retire with some money, man. They look at Bud. Bud reaching for a Canelo fight because he won a big money fight before he go out in that career because it's damn near end of the road for Bud, man. And then D1, my boy said, he said, here's a public service announcement to both the Brian Normans. Your son is fighting a guy next week. He better not struggle or else I'm dragging him. And his dad talking crazy. Facts. Facts, bro. Yeah, hey, check out my boy D1. He live at 6 p.m. today for sure, man. You already know, man. Tap in with my dogs, the Angry White Man podcast, man, for sure. Subscribe to him. Yeah, man. For sure, man. Brian Norman Sr., all of these guys that's hating on Tate, man, they out of pocket. And he's just getting enormous hate in boxing, man. And it's just nasty to see, man, because Tank, he ain't sensitive. He ain't out there tweeting out every time somebody says anything negative about him, like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney and these other fighters. He ain't doing that. Shakur Stevenson arguing with Twitter pages on a daily basis every day. Tank Davis ain't doing that. So how would you say this man is mentally weak? That looks mentally weak to me. Arguing with strangers every day when you are a famous millionaire boxing fighter right now. It makes no sense to me. You feel me? And yeah, man, and it's just crazy to see this, man. And a lot of these people still trying to downplay and make built-in excuses for the rematch already. Talk about if Tank knock out Lamont Roach, Lamont Roach, we knew he was a front runner and stuff. It ain't about nothing and everything. Like y'all now y'all trying to downplay the rematch now. This is how much like the Shakur fans and the Devin fans, they trying to downplay the rematch now. But y'all rooting for Lamont Roach to beat Tank Davis though. Make this make sense. Like I'm trying to understand how this makes sense. This makes no absolute sense to me. None whatsoever, man. And it's just nasty work just to see this shit, bro. Like it really is. Like Tank, the rematch is going to do more numbers than the first one, guaranteed. Because everybody want to see if Lamont Roach can beat Tank Davis in this second fight. And by the way, the pay per view buys reported from Dan Raphael did 262K pay per view buys in the U.S. It ain't the total numbers, but not bad numbers. I was thinking it was going to range and do around 500K, but 262K, I'm kind of iffy on the numbers. I kind of think it's more than that, me personally. I'll wait till some other sources come out with some numbers. But that's reported from Dan Raphael, even though he is a valid source. You know what I'm saying? Some guys believe him at times, some guys don't believe him. But 260K is definitely underperforming for Tank. I think the rematch would definitely do way more for sure. And it no, it goes to the dance partners. And no, Tank has a great dance partner. He do great numbers. You know what I'm saying? I think the build up for this fight kind of messed the numbers up because the Tank wasn't usually talking this shit. It wasn't no aggression. It wasn't no real no real how I would say, it wasn't no real like no preside to the fight as far as it being these guys don't like each other. It was a friendly build up for this fight. And this build up for this rematch will not be friendly. It won't be. It won't be. Especially after all the shit Lamont been doing. Trying to, petition for the fight to get overturned. He in the interview after interview talking about that he didn't beat Tank and saying that Tank didn't bit him during the fight and saying that Tank didn't have grease in the hair, should have been a knockdown. And then he in the clubs, they got uh, I'm smoking Tank pack signs in the clubs and stuff. Like uh, then he doing reaction videos to the fight. Like bro, like all of this shit that Lamont Roach is doing, this build up for the rematch is not going to be the same at all, bro. It will not be the same, bro. I guarantee you, it will not be the same. Like it would not be friendly. Tank coming in there to try to take this man head off in his next fight, man. And I'm excited and ready for it, man. I'm definitely ready for it. And I think, and I'm gonna say this too on the side, it's stupid because I heard, like I said before earlier in the show, Richard Hitchens is reportedly going to fight George Kambosos June 21st, possibly in New York or Australia. And for them to have that date, they can't move that date because Eddie Hearn said that's a date that he can't move. That's a stupid date. They better have that fight early in the day because nobody ain't gonna be watching it that day. Everybody gonna be watching the Tank Roach rematch for sure, man. Nasty work. But other than that, man, Tank Davis, the rematch, there is not gonna be a friendly build up. Ain't no friend shit. Tank Davis that made Lamont the biggest bag of his career, and Lamont that turned his back and you know what I'm saying, just try to take everything that Tank then worked hard for. So Tank got to go out there and get at this man and get back at this dude and get it back in blood 100% and beat this man clear. Whether you outbox him or whether you knock him out, Tank got to do what it takes to get this W, man. To secure his spot as the face of boxing and still the top guy in the game, man, pound for pound. You know what I'm saying? I see, these lists taking them off pound for pound lists. I don't pay attention to pound for pound lists, man. I got my eye test. I got my own list for shit. You feel me? I think Tank is still definitely one of the top five fighters in the world. He had an off night, and it's time for him to go prove that it was an off night in the rematch with Lamont Roach. I mean, only a couple things he need to tweak, in my opinion, but we'll get the more talking about it leading up to the fight, man. And I think Tank definitely will prevail in this rematch for sure, man. The Kilo, man, what's good, my boy, man? What's good, my boy? Yeah, man. What y'all think about Tank and Roach in this rematch? And then what do y'all think? What fight should be for Tank if he does get past Lamont Roach after too as well? I think personally, I mean, obviously earlier when I started talking about the landscape of the lightweight division, I was saying that um, I believe Tank should fight Lomachenko. If Lomachenko wants that fight and he's willing to get back out there, you know what I'm saying, fight Lomachenko towards the end of the year. I mean, that'll make get that get that IBF belt built. And then, hey, Shakur and Keyshawn, what's up? They gotta say what's up, man. They gotta show us. You know what I'm saying? Shakur and Keyshawn, 2026. Them two guys gotta see Tank in 2026. If Tank can get past Lamont Roach in the rematch, and if he does ends up fighting Lomachenko, in which I believe Tank will beat Lomachenko, in my opinion. You know what I mean, Keyshawn and Shakur gotta be on the menu in 2026 for sure, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely excited for the rematch, and it's so crazy. Like I said, I predicted that shit. I'm like, man, I said it in my video. I said I think Tank gonna have a rematch around Juneteenth. It's gonna be around Juneteenth, and it's gonna be in Vegas. You gotta have it in Vegas. I would not have that rematch on the East Coast, and they're exactly doing that shit now, man. And I'm excited, bro. I'm just excited, man, just for the 135 landscape as a whole, for real. I'm excited to see what Stevenson does next. I hope he does get it. Wins the pay the first. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, that's the fight that he's wanted for a while. I hope Shakur gets that fight. I hope Keyshawn Davis gets that fight with Edwin De Los Santos. You know what I mean? That's a fight that both of them guys are talking about making happen. That's a fight that I definitely looking forward to seeing make happen for sure. Lomachenko, I hope Lomachenko able to get a fight with Tank Davis if Tank Davis gets past Lamont Roach. Make it happen. They almost was done making it happen last year. I think it shouldn't be shit to get some of those same terms and shit together to make the fight happen for later this year. Check out my boy Kilo. He said, I want to see who Shakur fights next. If he fights another power guy and gets booed out of the arena, we'll see how it goes. Facts, bro. Facts, man. Like I said, man, I don't want to see Shakur Stevenson fight Joe Cordina. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that, man. I want to see him against a guy that got some pop behind his punch and that's athletic and got some decent footwork. And I want to see that. You know what I mean? Like we like everybody was talking about Tank, how they want to see Tank fight black fighters. They want to see him fight, black slick fighters with good feet work and stuff. Like it's certain styles that we want to see other fighters fight as well. We want to see Tank. We want to see Shakur versus a power puncher, with athletic ability and great skill and great footwork. We want to see that from Shakur. Shakur got to show us, man. We got to see Shakur fight against something that we feel that he has a weakness at, and we feel he has a weakness with power punches. So we need to see that Shakur should be one to show us him fighting against power punchers that's athletic. He should be one to show us that. And fighting Joe Cordina is not going to show us that. Like that's not going to show us nothing. That's going to be an easy cooked up fight. We already know Joe Cordina is not going to do nothing with Shakur Stevenson. Nobody's not going to want to pay to see that shit. Shakur got to get off his high horse too, man. Talking about you know he a star in boxing and stuff. Like his ego too big, man. He don't have the star status as he thinks, man. He really does. And right now, just looking at the landscape right now, Javier Herrera is the most logical fight for him if he's not fighting Williams Zepeda. Like Williams Zepeda, we want to see that. Pressure fighter, power puncher, we want to see that. You know what I mean? Javier Herrera, younger fighter, yeah, he looked probably a little green. Probably looking a little bit of green. I ain't gonna lie, looking green. But we want to see you versus a young athletic fighter with power. Yeah, Kilo said definitely don't want to see him versus Cordina and another UK domestic guy. Eddie doesn't have any great fights for him. Yes, man. Like I said, it's no good fights for Shakur over there on Matchroom at the Zone, man. We know you're not fighting Andy Cruz. We know, you know what I'm saying? Eddie trying to get Andy Cruz to fight Keyshawn. So we know that fight ain't happening. Like, Like, bro, like it's no good fights over there. Shakur had no business signing the Matchroom Boxing. You made 2.2 million fighting Josh Padley, and you could have been making 5 million per fight, regardless to who you fight over there at Top Rank. Even with them going into a new network, possibly whatever, that's they deal with you. You would have been making 5 million per fight, and you're not even making that fighting these guys that you fighting, man. You taking low risk, high reward for Shakur. That's what he wants right now, and I can't respect that if that's going to be how Shakur wants to move. If you want to move fighting easy fights for big money, bro, go ahead and be my guest. But you're not going to get no support from the real fans, bro. And you keep screaming out, calling out all of these big names and stuff, but the way you move look like you don't want to fight big names for real, bro. Let's be real. And the Shakur fans is in totally 100% denial and delusion about this shit. And that's the shit that sucks apart just seeing this shit. Cause I actually like Shakur. I actually do. But I just don't be liking how he be moving, man. He be moving like he's soft. He moves like he has a soft mentality in me, in my opinion. And people like Paula Malignaggi and Brian Norman Sr., they don't want to call that shit out. Like that's some real shit. You talking about moving soft? That the way Shakur moving, he moving soft to me. That's just my opinion. For sure, man. But you already know, man. Hey, man, salute to everyone that tuned into the show today, man, for sure, man. I'm going to try to come on and try to be consistent with the live streams, man, throughout the week with the boxing talk, man. I'm doing all my boxing talk on YouTube for now on my live streams. I was doing them on Facebook, but I may do some little brief shit over there, but mainly all my boxing live streams gonna be over here from now on. And we got content on the way, more for sure. Salute to all things. Salute to Kilo, man. Salute to D1. Salute to 2 Cents, man. Salute to Mrs. Cam J. And tonight I'm gonna be live on my boy Ring Boxing Talk with 15 on his channel tonight. I'm gonna be live at 6 o'clock on his channel. I'll make a post on YouTube for everybody to see that. So I'll be live on his channel talking boxing tonight. We got some various topics we're gonna go over on his channel tonight. So I'll be over there tonight. And it's lit, man. It's lit, man. I got more content on the way. Subscribe to the channel, man. CamJ Network. Like and comment on this video, man. We working. We got a lot of content on the way. And we out of here, man. Salute to everybody.